Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Fachri Hamzah Pangestu, and right now I'm going to explain about my research entitled "The Meaning of Repetition in I Have a Dream" speech by Martin Luther King Jr. So this is the outline of my presentation. I'm going to explain about my background of study, my research question until paper organization. First thing first, I'm going to explain about background of my research. Why I choose I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. as my object. The first reason why is because this speech is distinctive from any other speeches. This speech contains a lot of repetition. For your information, I am quite active in joining speech competition, and in every speech that I deliver in my competition, I always use repetition. But the point or the purpose why I use that repetition is to create an image to and also to grab the audience attention. Why to create an image? For example, the example of repetition that I use in my speech is like, my mama said, blah, 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 blah. My mama said, blah, 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 blah. My mama said, blah, 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 blah. So I just want to, I just want the audience pay attention to me and listen to what I'm trying to deliver in my speech. And also to create an image because I just want to well known as a person like, ah, Fahri. Fahri is a guy with speech. My mama said, yeah. Ah, mama said, yeah. Ah, so I just want to be that character, that image is attached in somebody's mind because of when I just want to be well known as that kind of image, Fahri with Fahri with my mama said in every his speech. Right? So that's why I use that repetition. But when I see Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech entitled I Have a Dream, I do not see it as a style like what I did. I do not see it as like that. But I see it as something that I have to find out why. Because Martin uses a lot of repetition in almost all his speech. It is not style anymore. It is not style like what I did. It's something, something that I have to find out what is that. So that is why I am interested in analyzing this speech. And another reason why is because this speech calls for racial equality and an end to discrimination toward African Americans in the United States. Even though this speech is already happened many years ago, but the issue, the problem of this is still existing until now, still exists until now. The practice of discrimination is still exists until now, and also in our environment, I do realize that the practice of discrimination is still exists until now. That is why I have to blow up again. I have to bring it again, this issue, through my research. And what I'm going to do with my research, I'm going to reveal the meaning of repetition in I Have a Dream speech. In this speech, I'm going to reveal the meaning, and I have to find out what is the meaning behind the repetition that Martin used in almost his speech. And how to do that? I will investigate it using the theory of repetition by Raymond Chapman. Next, what is the research question? The research question will be What is the meaning of repetition in I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr.? Next is the objectives of study. So the objective study will be this research is conducted to explain what the meaning of repetition that constructed in I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. So my focus in find out the meaning of repetition in this speech. The next is significance of study. I do hope that this research can actuate a critical perspective that shows the readers how African Americans fight for their lives and to inform the readers about hard times and tough lives that experienced by African Americans in the United States at that time during the civil rights movements. And also, I hope that this research can be useful for academic communities, particularly those research that focus on the study of repetition. So I do hope that my research about repetition will be useful for them in analyzing the problem using the repetition, using the same theory. And last is I hope that this research can raise the awareness of people who live in multicultural society to be more tolerate, respect each other, and treat other equally. Like what I said before, even this problem, even this object is very old. It happens long time ago, but the issue is still exists until now, and it is also sometimes happening in our environment. For example, is like the practice of discrimination in college. For example, there's a gang rich and gang poor. Rich, the rich gang will not in friends with the poor gang. So it is kind of there is a gap between them because of that social status, for example. So that is why I just want to raise the awareness of people to eliminate that practice of discrimination in our life. And the next is about literature review. Related to the object of material, I found a journal entitled Critical Discourse Analysis of Martin Luther King's Speech in Socio-Political Perspective by Muhammad Aslam Sipra and Atta Rashid. And the next is a thesis or study entitled An Appraisal Analysis on Text I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King by Satria Andriani Zebua. And related to the theory of repetition, I found a journal entitled Repetition Analysis in Narrative Paragraphs, composed by 8th grade students of MTSN 1 Bondowoso, academic year 2017-2018 by Vivin Amelia Mahmudah. And the next is a journal entitled The Analysis of Diction and Repetition in Sermon of Suara Quran FR Radio by Ernie Pratiwi. So I emphasize that my research has never been conducted before because according to my literature review, that use the same object like mine is use different theory. The first is just critical discourse analysis, and the second is just appraisal analysis. So it is totally different with my research, which is my research use the theory of repetition. And related to the theory of repetition, this theory of repetition is applied in narrative paragraphs and also applied in sermon, not has not applied in I Have a Dream speech, right? So I strongly emphasize that my research has not been conducted before because I use different object and also different theory. And next is about theoretical approach. To reveal the meaning of the repetition, this research uses the theory of repetition by Raymond Chapman. It says that repetition occurs if there is a lexical item or words which is repeated 2 times or more. There are some types of repetition based on its patterns. Chapman classified it into 3, such as anaphora, epistrophe, and epithesis. Anaphora is a repetition that happened in the beginning of the sentence, while epistrophe is a repetition that happened in the last of the sentence, while epithesis is repetition that epithesis repeats a word or phrases in utterance without any breaks at all. So the example, I will give you the example to get more understanding, well understanding. So the example of anaphora is like, my mama said blah 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 blah. My mama said blah 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 blah. So that's the example of anaphora because the repetition is happened in the beginning of the sentence, while epistrophe is the repetition that happened in the last of the sentence, like the quotes from Abraham Lincoln that says, and what and that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. So the repetition is happened in the last of the sentence, of the people, by the people, and for the people. So that happens in the last of the sentences. While epithesis is repeats a word or phrase in utterance without any breaks at all. For example, if you have to go, you have to go with me, not with him. If you have to go, you have to go with me, not with him. So you have to go with me. You have to go, you have to go with me. So the repetition, there is no break. Yeah, there is no break at all. For example, like that. Yeah. And I hope that by this theory of repetition, the researcher expect that this research can be reached. And the next is about method of research, because this research is conducted to get deep interpretation about the repetitions in Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech. The qualitative approach is the appropriate approach to be used, and the researcher downloaded the script of the speech from a website on the internet and also watch the video of the speech on YouTube. And the primary data or the script and also the video that the researcher that I read and also watch. But I also use the supporting data, which is the biography of Martin Luther King Jr. itself. And the data collection technique in this research is based on library research. There are several steps to collect and to consider the valid data in I Have a Dream speech. The first step is the researcher, which is I, repeatedly watch and read the speech. And secondly, I find the repetition words or sentences or phrases from the speech. And the next is I identify the data which consisting repetition. And last but not least, I choose the repetition that will be proceed as a final data that to be analyzed. And the data analysis technique is first, I identify the repetition that used in the speech, And also I have to classify the repetition based on its types, because the types of repetition, there are three types. And after that, after classify the repetition based on its type, I analyze the repetition using distributional analysis method. So method repetition. And after that, I have to interpret and also explain the meaning of the repetition. And after that, the last one is I have to draw the conclusion about that. And the last is about paper organization. This research is presented in 4 chapters. The first chapter of this research contains the introduction of the research, such as background of study, problem statement or research question, objective and significant study, literature review, theoretical approach, method of research, and also the paper organization. And the second chapter of this research contains a theoretical background, the deep explanation about speech and discrimination, and the description of Martin Luther King's Jr. speech, I Have a Dream, and also the biography of Martin itself. And the third chapter of this research contains the main analysis of this research. And in this chapter, the complete analysis of the data will be served. And the last chapter will be about the conclusion of the research, which is completed by the suggestion for the future research. And maybe that's all from me. And I have a lot of mistakes. Yes, I do have a lot of mistakes. So please forgive me. And if you have any questions, you can contact me on WhatsApp or in e-learning program. Thank you very much for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.